Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to continue our look at Frank Miller's run on Daredevil. We're going to look at number 227 through 230. And this is the triumphant full return of Frank Miller to the title as writer, and with amazing art by David Mazzucchelli. This is the classic Born Again run we're starting here, guys, and it really is worthy of its reputation. It is I haven't read these in decades. Frank Miller's writing is incredible on these. It's so good. As far as beyond just a superhero comic, like a crime comic or whatever, it is just really good. And Mazzucchelli just keeps getting better every issue. I mean, he already has. We've seen him get better and better, become like a world-class mainstream artist, and now he's just going. He's off the hook, as the kids like to say. So I just realized kids 30 years ago like to say. Okay, let's check these out. Number 227. Kind of interesting design on the cover. A little clunky, I think, though, but it's well drawn and it looks cool. Once again, we get some of that Mazzucchelli sepia tone effect with the craft tint and the monochromatic, semi-monochromatic style. It looks so good. So we're in Mexico, someplace probably south because it's very, very hot, and we see Karen Page here. Karen Page, for like 150 issues, was a love interest of Matt Murdock. She was the secretary at Nelson and Murdoch, the law firm, and over the years, they fell in love. And I don't have the issues. I don't know why she left, what happened, but she hasn't been around Daredevil in a while. Now we find out what happened to her, and it's not good. And we see her with this low-level goon, and she's a junkie, we realize. And it's so good. Like, Frank Miller's so good at the whole show don't tell. We've just been reading some Denny O'Neil issues where Denny O'Neil's captions were just so clunky and just like, yeah, there's got to be a better way to, like, less blatant way to just keep giving us this information. Frank Miller doesn't do that at all. Just through the dialogue, this guy says one thing to her. We realize she's a junkie, and Karen Page is basically down to her last dime, and she's got the shakes. So she sells Matt Murdock's secret to this guy. She figures it's worth something, the knowledge that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, because she was one of the only people who knew this. It's a hot day like all the rest, all 2 years of them. 2 years, and the motion picture epic that turned into just another come on isn't even a memory. Like all the rest, except this one has a special glow to it. It's not every day you sell your soul. So we also find out she's been doing porn movies. She's become a junkie. Now we see this guy, I guess his cousin is kind of higher up in the crime chain. He's, sells it to him for more money. And this all goes right up the ladder to the kingpin. Guys, look how beautiful the coloring is here. Coloring in this issue is by Christy Scheel. There's a Scheel. And she never really impressed me. I never once looked at one of her comments and said, whoa, this person's doing something different. But I think it's almost like she rose to the occasion. She's like, wow, this is the best written comic I've probably ever worked on. Best drawn comic. I'm going to pull out all the stops on my end. So we see the kingpin on his yacht. He gets the information, and he says to himself, I'm going to test this information. Kingpin's very methodical. And then it says 6 months pass. Now we see Matt Murdock in his beautiful brownstone waking up. And the name of this issue is Apocalypse. Joe Rosen once again on letters. So Matt's already kind of having a weird morning. He claims, he doesn't drink, but he's like, I almost feel like I'm hungover. Like he's already feeling a little off. And then he reads the mail, and the bank tells him that they haven't received his last 2 bank payments. The IRS says that he's being audited and his bank accounts are all frozen until it's over. He has listening to a cassette that Gloriana, his girlfriend, sent him in the mail. I guess she didn't want to write it down, so she just made a cassette. And it's basically her saying, Matt, I've tried. You're never there for me. I just think we're done. She's breaking up with him. But he hasn't even tried to see her in who knows how long. And she says, don't call me. This is, final. He's not even listening. He's calling his accountant. His accountant is basically saying, you're not my client anymore. So it's a really bad morning. Next, he gets a subpoena. Someone knocks on his door. He gets a subpoena. He's not as a witness. He's been charged with taking bribes, basically misconduct as a lawyer, bribing witnesses to perjure themselves, things like that. Of course, it's preposterous if you know Matt Murdock, but it doesn't matter. It seems that this police officer, Manolis, is making these charges. Matt Murdock knows of Manolis. He's a good cop. What the hell's going on? Meanwhile, we see Gloriana's apartment. Foggy, who's been kind of palling around with her, because they're both kind of commiserating about how their friend Matt Murdock's AWOL, mentally and physically most of the time. He comes over to hang out, and she's been robbed. Her complete apartment has been completely ransacked. And she's very distraught, of course. And she says, I can't stay here tonight. Can I stay with you? Look how Gene Colan-y that is here. That's very Gene Colan. Yeah, Mazzucchelli is just really putting the work in here. Like he's using lots of craft type things. Even trying different styles here and there. You can tell he's invested in this comic. And just the fact that for a monthly comic for quite a while now, he's been doing pencils and inks. That was pretty rare at Marvel Comics. The monthly grind. He obviously cares. He's like, I'm tired of inkers fucking up my shit. I'm surmising this. I don't know this, but I wouldn't be surprised. He seems like he really is invested in this work. Now we cut to the offices of the Daily Bugle, and the narration turns to Ben Urich. I love when Joe Rosen does this little typewriter font whenever it's Ben Urich, because he's a reporter, of course. And he gets the news about Matt Murdock. He calls him Matt to find out what's up. And Matt is talking to him as if he's a stranger. As he's just another reporter giving him shit. And even has this weird chuckle. And Ben is just like, holy shit, what the hell happened? So the bank insists that they haven't gotten their payments. Matt tries to talk to them. And he even has the check stubs to prove that he paid them. But they're just saying, we never received them. Apparently lost in the mail. So he's just like, fuck this. The only thing in my life I like is being Daredevil. Everything else seems to be gone. I can't practice law. I'm going to lose my house. I'm putting on my Daredevil suit and going for a refreshing jaunt around the city. And it works. He loves doing this shit, Yeah, this is a beautiful page of just the body in motion. So Gloriana is at Franklin's apartment, and it looks like they're getting a little cozy. And look at That Gene Colan face. Very seductive. But Foggy, of course, is just being like, oh, I'll sleep on the couch. He's kind of red-faced and nervous. Because pretty much Gloriana is not technically Matt's girlfriend still, but he just was. I mean, she's dumped him, but he hasn't even responded. So Daredevil goes to visit this police officer, Manolis. Manolis doesn't know who Daredevil is. He says, what the hell are you doing in my apartment? He attacks him with a broken beer bottle. He says, get out of my home. And Daredevil takes off. As soon as he leaves, Manolis calls up a phone number. And he says, yeah, he showed up. I did what you said to do. Now about my boy. The doctors say he needs those treatments real soon. So, just so succinct. We see like, okay, this guy's on the take. Someone's paying him paying him enough that his son can get valuable medical treatment. He's paying him enough to betray Daredevil. Of course, Daredevil left quickly just because he has super hearing, so now he's like, okay. His phone's been turned off, his power's been turned off. Goes to sleep in a cold house. We cut back to Foggy and Gloriana. She's cooking him breakfast the next morning. Definitely there's something between these two. But, you know, they're being good. Foggy gets the call. Finally. You know, your partner, Matt Murdock's been indicted. You're going to defend him. You got to defend him. Now we see the Kingpin, like a spider in the center of a web, watching all his TV screens. He's got everyone in his pocket, and he's basically gloating about his perfect frame job. He methodically and slowly built this up over 6 months just to destroy Matt Murdock. I mean, he could have just sent 50 assassins to try to kill him, but, you know, he's tried that before. And he wants to do it more, I don't know, sadistically. He'd rather see his life fall apart. And now Daredevil's starting to lose it. It's working. You know, there's the bars he always goes into, intimidates criminals. He goes into one and just beats up everyone. Is just screaming like a maniac. Who's gonna talk about Matt Murdock? And Kingpin's loving it. Man, this is just some really great stuff. He looks like the devil incarnate here. Kingpin also gives the word that anyone who knows about any of this, including Karen Page, is to be killed. Because he wants this frame up to be perfect. He doesn't want someone spilling the beans. Next day in court, Foggy gives a brilliant defense. Once again, I love this black and white art. It's like a photo. And he keeps Matt out of jail, but he can't keep Matt from losing his law license. Of course, Kingpin loves this even more. So on top of all of this, Matt, you know, when he called Foggy early in the morning and Gloriana answered, he's also just like, oh yeah, my best friend's fucking my girlfriend. Everyone's against me. So Matt's feeling more and more paranoid. He doesn't know why the whole world seemed to turn against him. Even his best friend and his girlfriend are in cahoots, it seems like, to him. Even though if you've read the past, 12 issues, Matt deserves Gloriana's treatment. He's been really pushing her aside, not being a very good boyfriend. Now we skip back to Karen Page in Mexico, and she realizes that assassins are coming after her. They killed this guy who was giving her, drugs, and she runs. And in her head, she says, even as she runs, she hates herself for the name that comes to her, the man who always helped Matt. So even though she betrayed him, she also just desperately needs to be with him again, just to protect her, for the main part. So Matt Murdock walks to his house, completely just down to the dumps. And He's about to enter his home, and all of a sudden he feels vibrations, and the whole house explodes. It's a professional job. Look at this interesting page here, the way these panels intersect or sit side by side. I really like that little slash of his face there. And Matt stands before the smoldering ruins of his beautiful brownstone. He walks through the rubble, and he sees one of his Daredevil outfits, all ripped and torn. But he thinks to himself, I never would have connected it to you. Nothing about it said gangster until this. It was a nice piece of work, Kingpin. You shouldn't have signed it. Oy vey. You know what else is interesting is, Frank Miller returned. This was big news. He was almost about to start Dark Knight Returns at DC, and that would blow up like, an atom bomb. But he loved Daredevil so much he came back. Marvel let him do, these stories are 2 pages longer than normal comics. I'm sure Frank Miller was like, hey, I need this much. Usually you couldn't do that. They need the ad space. But they're just like, we got Frank Miller, fuck that. Frank Miller can tell us what he wants, So these are extra long issues, no letter pages. It's kind of a striking cover. Matt's really losing his shit here. We start off in a kind of placid setting. Franklin and Glory are hanging out. It seems like they're pretty much almost a couple now. Matt Murdock calls up, and Gloriana's crying almost because he doesn't make any sense. She's like, oh my God, he's crazy. He's just ranting. Now we see Matt in a flea-bitten hotel room, and we begin Chapter 2, Purgatory. Same creative team, except this issue, David Mazzucchelli does the colors too. He's not content just penciling and inking it. He's going to ink color this too. So he's trying to think what the hell's going on. I mean, he knows Kingpin's behind it now. But it's almost like his brain is working against him. Sometimes he's just like, the whole world's against me. And then he has to stop himself and say, no, it's the Kingpin. This is a Born Again comic. It's very interesting. The fact that I don't think I've ever seen a superhero just hit such depths. I mean, superheroes get fucked with by villains all the time, but it's working. Matt is really kind of losing his brain because the narration we're seeing within his mental landscape. He's kind of losing it, becoming extra paranoid. I mean, he has every reason to be paranoid after what's happened to him, but he's just kind of going crazy. Now we see the Kingpin once again really gloating now. What a wonderful, that's a great page. Every panel, that's amazing. See, Klaus Janson, that's how you draw a Kingpin. Trying to make the man in the moon. And, this is a really interesting way, just so Matt's losing it. He keeps, saying to himself in this little hotel room, all I want to do is sleep, but I really should get up and get some food. I got $2 left. And then he keeps looking at the doorknob, and he just can't seem to make himself leave the room. In this instance, this is the second time. I didn't point it out the first time. All of a sudden, he's grabbing the doorknob, and then he sees himself over Kingpin, kind of ranting in his head about how he'll just beat the Kingpin and beat him and make him tell the truth, and everything will be perfect, and everything will be cleared, and they'll throw a big parade for Matt Murdock. And then it's obviously just a little mental reverie, and he's back in bed. Even with his shoes on, he hasn't gone out the door. So it's he's really losing it. He keeps calling Foggy up. Almost like a prank caller, just calling up and ranting and then hanging up. He even calls up Foggy, his best friend, and says, I'm on to you, Nelson. He hears footsteps in the door hallway, and it's just the landlord, the apartment manager, or the motel manager. He says, hey, you got to pay another $8. It's after 12. And Matt attacks him, strangles him until he passes out. And he really thinks that he's like, no point questioning him. I know the Kingpin sent him. So he's really losing it. He's gone. Now, of course, Kingpin has hired all of these people to keep an eye on Matt Murdock and then report back to him. He's got this assistant guy who reports to the Kingpin directly. And, the Kingpin, he wants to see every excruciating detail or hear of every excruciating detail as Matt descends into madness. One of the incidences he reports to the Kingpin is Matt was on the subway. 3 toughs came in with guns and started mugging people, and he didn't do anything. Which, that's pretty crazy. But until they attacked him, when they put a gun in his face, Matt just beat the shit out of him. Mazzucchelli is so damn good at this point. Too good to stay in superhero comics, unfortunately. Though what he's done outside of super comics is probably better. But I wish there was 2 of them. I wish there was superhero mainstream Mazzucchelli who could keep doing stuff that's wonderful. I might still be reading more, I'd be reading more superhero comics. Kingpin's loving it. He's loved hearing the details. Matt even attacks a cop. And basically, Kingpin knows that Matt Murdock's on his way to his building. So Matt calls it Foggy again, and he's talking to him on this payphone. Look at I love this interesting color effect here. Just little splotches of color to be the neon in a snowstorm, or, it's snowing. And he's talking to Foggy. He's trying to explain himself. He's like, Foggy, please, I'm sick. It's the Kingpin. I'm afraid that if I go, I'll try to kill the Kingpin. Okay, buddy, I'll give it my best shot. And he walks away from the phone, and the phone says, at the tone, the time will be 10:32. So he was just talking to nobody. Oh, man, Frank Miller's is good. Now we see Karen Page again. She's on the lam, of course. All these guys are trying to kill her. She's trying to reach, call Matt. Of course, his phone is disconnected. She sees the assassins and has to keep running. Now we see Matt still heading towards Kingpin's tower. We cut away to the Daily Bugle. And Ben is saying, Jonah, you gotta let me do the story. If you don't, I'm gonna do it for another paper. I'm doing the story about Matt Murdock. And, in Daredevil, J. Jonah Jameson's actually a good journalist. I think he's the only one who depicts him like this. He's an asshole, but he's also a tough-minded journalist. So he says, it's not like you to take a stand, Ben. Okay, you got it. You got yourself a deal. So they just usher Matt Murdock right into Kingpin's little workout room. This is exactly what Kingpin wants. And so we get to see this amazing little fight scene between Kingpin and Matt. Even though Matt's tagging Kingpin, breaking his nose and stuff, making him bleed, he's laughing. He's loving this. Matt is insane. And Kingpin knows he's lost his mind and he's fucking loving every minute. It's exactly as he planned. But the Kingpin overpowers him and knocks him out. So the Kingpin realizes, okay, I've had my fun. I want to seal my victory, seal it up, and realizes he has to make Matt Murdock's death be above reproach. So he figures they put Matt Murdock in a taxi. The cab is driven off of a pier. The doors and safety belt are corroded shut by some weird, rare process. So it just looks like rust. There's a bottle of whiskey in Matt's lap. And the owner of the cab has been beaten to death. with Murdoch's own cane. I love this effect Mazzucchelli gets for underwater here. But we see that Matt is not giving up. And a Kingpin's foolproof plan, maybe Matt Murdoch's just big enough of a fool to get out of it. But then, I think we see a few days later, and Kingpin's stoolies or flunkies report to him. They pulled the cab from the river. There was no corpse. There is no corpse. And Kingpin is, after like getting to be happy as a clam for 2 days, is just like, motherfucker. And now we see Matt Murdoch crawling through an alley. Oh man, this is good stuff. So now we got number 229. Simple but effective cover. All the covers are just by David Mazzucchelli, I figure. Oh man, so look at, he's trying even more stuff out. So Matt's dreaming of his origin, when young Matt Murdoch was hit by that radioactive canister that fell from a truck. And so now we're reliving his first moments, his first day with these powers. Now, it was hellish. Every sense was heightened. So he's this teenage kid. He can't see, but the smells of people around him are just disgustingly strong. The bed sheets feel like sandpaper against his skin. It's just too much sensory overload. And I love this format for these pages. Just this long strip. Very Frank Miller-y. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe suggested the layouts for some of this. And then it's all black, because this is Matt's point of view. This is someone talking to him, because it's so loud, Son, can you hear me, son? The doctors say you'll be fine. It's his dad. This is also interesting in a normal Marvel comic, the full bleed all the way to the edge of the page. That was pretty rare. In fact, I don't even remember that. Any of the comics I have from growing up having that. Then he gets another visitor. Her voice doesn't overpower him. And it's this woman with a very gentle, whispery voice. And she says, think of this as a blessing, Matt. It's yours. It's our secret. Don't tell anyone. And she kisses him on the forehead. And something's dangling from her neck. He feels that it's a cross made of gold. And this woman's voice says, promise me. And I think she gave him the cross. So as you can tell, the camera's slowly pulling back on the strip. Very slowly. It kind of reminds me almost of like Michael Zulli from Puma Blues. And so now, Matt is still blind, of course. So this is how he sees the world. His dad comes to visit him, tells him that he'll be blind from now on. And now we fully pulled back, and Matt is asleep in an alley with some other hobos. So this is chapter 3, Pariah. So Christy Shaquille is back on colors, but the same creative team all around. We cut away to Foggy and Gloriana Christmas shopping. A mugger tries to snatch Gloriana's purse. Franklin just trips and falls because he's a bumbling buffoon. We realize Gloriana's pretty tough. She jumps on the guy and is like trying to kick his ass. He pulls a knife on her. And luckily one of the presents Foggy was getting was a bowling ball. He throws it right in the guy's face. Within a year or two from here, Mazzucchelli would do Batman Year One, and you can already see that, like, that style peering through. Very kind of more simple, but incredibly effective. So now we see Ben Urich. He goes to the hospital to visit Detective Manolis, the corrupt police officer who accused Matt. Of course, he figured he's going to be with his sick son in the hospital. And Ben's there to, pump him for information. In the corner, we see this nurse. And she is like a battle axe. She looks like William Frawley from I Love Lucy with a red wig. She's tough looking. Ben tries to smoke in the room. She says, "No smoking here." Look at that panel here. That's almost like a Bernard Krigstein. So, like, cool and stylized. And then it's got that overlay of whatever, zipper tone type stuff. So, of course, Manolis is just like, "I don't got anything to say to you." Now we cut back to Karen Page. God, I love this, just the hellishness of her life now. It's even colored as if she's in some kind of weird purplish hell, where she's stealing money from a blind man's, change pot, or whatever you call that, where people throw in coins. And Frank Miller writes, it's the second time I've robbed a blind man. She thinks she robbed Matt too. Sold his secret identity for a fix. This wizened old beggar grabs her by the hand and starts screaming. She hits him on the head with his own coin pot and steals all the coins. So Karen Page is really, she's low. She's down low. But God, just the art in this page. This is some great art. Now we're cutting back to Matt Murdock. He's gone. He's walking wounded. Now we cut away to Turk and Grotto. Turk and Grotto are back. They're mugging these Salvation Army Santa Clauses to take their outfits. They figure they're going to get some money that way. This panel is really interesting to me just because it doesn't look like Mazzucchelli at all. It's very like some straight cartoonist. It's good, but just very, I don't know. Like, this guy could be whoever this is. I know it's David Mazzucchelli, but it just looks like they could draw any typical superhero comic. Because I think a lot of these panels, he's changing styles. He's the last two issues of this first 4-story arc, he's experimenting more and more. So Matt Murdock shows up. Turk and Grotto are there. Turk pulls out a knife, and he realizes that he doesn't know who Matt Murdock is. He even offers him $1. He's like, "Oh man, this guy's worse off than us, Grotto. This guy's a nut." And Turk ends up stabbing Matt, though. So now Ben is still hanging around the hospital, and we see that nurse looking malevolently after them. So Karen Page hooks up with this scumbag. He's like, "Yeah, I can give you a ride to America, but you're basically gonna be my traveling horror along the way." She's done a lot worse. She's just like, "Fine, I gotta get to New York." The assassins show up, and this guy's pretty tough. He blows them away. And he tells Karen, "You better be worth all this." Oh yeah, he also has heroin. So he'll supply the heroin, get her to America, and all she's got to do is spread her legs for him. So now Matt is just wandering around. He's got a broken rib. He's got a stab wound. I kind of like this romance between Glory and Foggy. We see them kissing, so it's official. They're definitely an item. And It's, yeah, because Matt Murdock is no good for anyone. Like, no woman should ever date Matt Murdock. He's a terrible boyfriend. So Matt goes all the way to Hell's Kitchen. He just walks there, tries to find his dad's old house, tries to find the gym where he used to work out. It's all been torn down. Now we see Ben down in the parking garage talking to Sergeant Manolis, and it looks like he's gonna tell him everything. And all of a sudden that nurse comes up, slugs the detective, grabs Ben Urich, pulls his arm behind his back, and basically she proceeds to break all of his fingers. Says, "Hey, this is a message from my employer. If you ever say the name Matt Murdock again, even say it, you're gonna get more of this." Unfortunately, he doesn't pass out from shock, and he sees what she does to the detective. She just destroys him. So I'm sorry, guys, the gym isn't destroyed. The gym is still there. We cut back to Hell's Kitchen. Matt breaks in, and he's punching this punching bag. And we see a little montage. Poor Karen Page being slobbered over by this guy. And all she's thinking is Matt. And so Matt has collapsed from exhaustion and the loss of blood. And all of a sudden this nun walks in with a gold cross. And they do the classic Pieta composition here. So this is a totally new character Frank Miller created. Nobody ever talked about this woman before. That's a really nice page. And now we see Kingpin. And he's, even though he's destroyed Matt Murdock's life, he's still pissed off that there's no corpse. He really wanted to be done with this and utterly destroy Matt Murdock, but it's still left unfinished. And now, this is the last issue we're going to look at today. Born Again continues, of course. And this is actually the comic called Born Again. Here we see kind of interesting design here. Just Ben Urich with the shadow of Daredevil over him. I love these slender panels. So this is like kind of Matt Murdock's thoughts. We see that he's in the hospital. The EKG machine, it's like he's flatlining. So, God, these are really interesting. Almost like he's trying to do like Sienkiewicz type things, you know, here and there. And now we see, well, that's weird because I don't see an EKG machine, but Matt is in some kind of, I don't know, convent where they have a little hospital. And it looks like Matt is going to not die. The nun says, "Praise God, he's alive." And here we have Born Again, same creative team. Oh man, Mazzucchelli is just getting better and better. Some of this stuff looks like Gray Morrow to me, you know, that great 70s artist. This is like really just classically great cartooning. So we see Karen Page has made it to America with her Lothario scumbag guardian. And all she can think about is seeing Matt. She knows Matt will save her, just like he has many times. We see Kingpin training. He's getting more and more pissed off. This is really bothering him that he was so close to finishing the deal. We see Foggy and Glory happy together. Foggy's been getting all these new job offers because he's a brilliant lawyer. And now we see Ben, and the narration turns to that type font. So when the cops come, and the ambulance comes, see what I was saying about Sienkiewicz type inking? There's some like interesting things going on here that Mazzucchelli normally doesn't do. And even like just the shading on Gloria on his face there, that shadow line. He's just, every panel, he's trying shit out. And now we see Karen has made it to Pennsylvania Station. The guy says, "Give me one last kiss." But then he says, "That's not enough for me." He's not going to let her go. There's some interesting things going on in this crowd scene. We'll see more of this. Things are getting more like, almost like Milt Kniff, like chiaroscuro type heavy chunks of black. Back to the Kingpin. He tells his major domo or whatever, his major assistant, he says, "Call in Nuke." And we get the impression that Nuke is so dangerous that even his assistant dares to question the Kingpin. He's like, "You can't be serious, boss. Nobody's ever used him on a domestic job." And he's like, "I didn't ask for a debate. Get Nuke." Now we see Ben, and the Kingpin's tactics work. Ben is terrified. His wife is talking to him. He says, "Don't say the name. Don't even think of the name. It's so very important that we don't even think of the name." And now look how all of a sudden Ben is so stylized. Also this chair, look how stylized. It's kind of cartoony. But that face is, all of a sudden now, it's almost like Ben is a different person. He's drawing him different. He's so nerve-wracked. He's more angular, and the line is more jerky on his face. So Matt's healing at this place. And he's just listening to the city, smelling everything. It's not good, because there's all these indigent guys in there who reek. He tries to get out of bed. He can't take the order anymore. But he stumbles, and the nun comes back. Her name's Maggie, by the way. She says, "You're staying here." So much nice illustration here. Just the figure work on this. Now Karen is in the apartment with that guy. She's calling Foggy. She finally gets through. She doesn't really tell him the situation, but she's like, "Could we meet somewhere? I need to talk to you." And Foggy's like, "Oh, okay, I guess I can." Look at the coloring on this page. This is amazing. Kudos to Chris Cajero here. And so now, of course, Ben has told J. Jonah Jameson, "Oh, I'm dropping the story." And J. Jonah's dressing him down. He's just all like, "I've seen this happen before. Reporters get scared off of a story." Basically, he's calling him a pussy. He's basically saying, "You're forgetting that you have 5 million readers behind you. You can't be scared off the story." And Ben is not listening. Ben is just terrified. He's like, "Yeah, you're lucky I don't fire you. Get out of my office." But look at this amazing film noir, shadows from the blinds, shit going on. And I love the sense of menace. Frank Miller doesn't have a caption that says, "Oh, the Kingpin's spies were watching him everywhere." We just see this janitor outside J. Jonah Jameson's office. This is, "That's right. Be a good boy, Uric. Remember, you got 5 more fingers." So, poor Karen Page, this guy's really abusive, but he does let her go see Foggy. He says, "You're mine now." So maybe she got a whole other problem. Back at the office of the Daily Bugle, Ben, they gave him a puff piece to write since he wouldn't write his, the meaty story. And the editors here are yelling at him, but he's on the phone. He gets a phone call from Detective Manolis in the hospital. Every bone in his body is broken by that tough nurse. And he calls Ben to say, "I'm ready to give you the story." And Ben basically just says, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's really terrified. And this I love this how it's just bam, 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 like back and forth. The editors are yelling at Ben, "Get off the phone, Ben." And he can hear all this over the yell of this, the clamor of this newspaper room. And all of a sudden Manola says, "Oh no," that nurse comes in. She picks up the phone, grabs the phone from him, puts her other hand around his neck. She says, "My employer would like you to hear this, Mr. Uric." And she obviously just murders him. That's really a effective here. This phone just on the pillow, and Ben's listening to the whole thing while these guys are just yelling at him, zooming in on him, getting more and more abstract here. He's almost like becoming a Ted McKeever drawn character. So it's amazing how good Frank Miller is at just cutting away. Like, we see Ben, and the nurse says, "Thanks for listening, Mr. York." A few panels of Matt in his hospital bed, realizing that this nun is the same, the nun with the golden cross, that when he was a little boy who came to comfort him. Cut away to Foggy saying hi to Karen. And I like this because he's just like, you look good, Karen. Just by the look on his face, Karen's not looking good. She's a fucking junkie. And then we get to Kingpin. And Kingpin's thinking to himself how Nuke is in Nicaragua. It's going to take a while for him to get up here. So you realize, like, Nuke's like a government asset. He's working for the shady government powers, But man, it's just like in 2 pages, he's just like, bam, bam, switching scenes. But there's nothing, it's all pretty, it works. Another great illustration here of Kingpin's face. He keeps doing it. Ben, Karen in the restaurant. Here's what I was mentioning earlier. Look at these background characters in the diner. Look at the ink. Sorry. The brushwork and ink on them. Very different. He's just definitely trying some stuff out. So Ben is completely freaked out. He can't stop thinking about the phone call. He could hear Detective Manolis's death rattle over the phone. Now Matt's got a bad fever, even though his rib is healing, but he came down with a fever, and Maggie's taking care of him. Look at Foggy in this panel all of a sudden. Very cartoony and different. And so Karen finally tells Matt what's been going on for the past, 10 years. She's got bruises and a black eye from Paolo. That's the guy who's keeping her captive. Foggy says, you're coming home with me. And she says, he'll kill us both. He'll find us. And he says, I don't care. We're family, Karen. And he hugs her after she starts crying. There's another Gene Colan face. And this is really just sweet to me. Like, Karen Page probably hasn't felt anyone be nice to her in like 10 years. And Foggy's still there for her. So even though Foggy's a bumbling nincompoop a lot, he really is a great guy. You gotta love the guy, even though he's a pain in the ass. Once again, guys, look at these great figures here. The inking, it's almost like leaning into Munoz territory. And I just love this whole sequence. Just them talking, the shots he picks, the angles. Mazzucchelli is just so good. We're back at the nunnery or wherever this is. And this is an interesting panel. Maggie's praying before Matt. And just like in those medieval drawings, David Mazzucchelli finishes the triangle for you. As if he couldn't see it enough, He actually draws it in. So Maggie's praying for Matt. He's on the cusp of dying. And we see Ben still thinking about this phone call, still having horrible flashbacks to the evil nurse. And we see him think to himself, the doctor the day before said, hey, that cast should have come off yesterday, but I guess he's, feeling fragile, so he has the cast on. We see Ben take the cast off and look right at us and just say, Matt Murdock. And so it looks like Ben's back. He's not going to be intimidated anymore. He's over his fear. And just look how angular and interesting that's drawn for Ben's face. And now we see Melvin Potter's costume shop, the Gladiator. Some of Kingpin's goons are threatening him, basically saying, you're going to make us the exact replica of Daredevil's uniform, or it's going to be curtains for you. See? So that's going to be a future plot point. And now we see Matt. It looks like he's made it. The fever's broke. He's going to be okay. And Matt says that she has an interesting smell, like everyone does to Matt. He says it's a pleasant scent, so much like my own. So he says, Maggie, are you my mother? She says, of course not, child. And her heart jumps, though, because, Matt can hear it. She's lying. So that's where we're going to leave off this week, guys. I know you're probably on the edge of your seat. But, man, these are some really great comics. Why can't more superhero comics be this good? I don't know. I'm not an editor. I don't own a comic company, but I would try constantly to duplicate this kind of quality if I wasn't owned a comic company. Amazing stuff. So next time we'll be wrapping up the Born Again storyline, the last 3 issues, and also looking at a little standalone issue, if my plans go correctly. So I hope you guys had a good time looking at these, and I hope to see you next time here at the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.